We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on the Jets defense. Preview this for the Dolphins game. Jets defense is elite. I expect this to be at least semi-similar to the game last year, the second game, the last game of the season for the Dolphins. Pretty defensive heavy. I think the Dolphins will find a little more success because in that game they really couldn't do anything other than run the ball. With Tua at quarterback, they'll definitely find something through the air. But the defense is very good. It should be a defensive battle. They need it because the Jets offense doesn't look too great. And looking at their defense, they run a lot of quarters. And then on third downs, they'll mix things up. Sometimes on first downs, they'll run some cover one, cover three, go single high. But really a quarters heavy defense, which Tua throughout his years has kind of, struggled for this against this 49ers style defense. But this year he's been much better against this style, and it's showed. We'll see if they make adjustments, run more cover two like teams usually do against them. But their secondary, very good. As you can see on this first play for Josh Allen, they're showing pressure pre-snap, drop into cover three. They'll definitely disguise some stuff, showing some zero look right there. And they just distribute everything locked down. They get pressure on Josh Allen. Their front's very good. I think the key is running the ball. The Bills found success in this game. A lot of inside zone power running against this Jets defense, getting ahead of the game. And then they found some work through the air. There's some weaknesses to attack, and I think the Dolphins actually have a chance to, replicate what the Bills did in this, and it should be a pretty good battle. While the Bills did find success running the ball in this game, it wasn't really on this outside zone type of stuff, especially out of shotgun like this. Most of the stuff was downhill, trying to do some zone read, pull across, really they pull a 73 across zone read. So it's more of a power zone read right here with the quarterback. But the Jets defense is very fast to the outside perimeter. Don't want to run this stuff too often. I know the Dolphins offense, it's a big part of their game, and they're still going to run it, but I think it's got to be minimized and not run as early on. Attack the middle of the field. That's where you can get going. And I think with Mostert and Wilson is probably the main two running backs in this game. That's what they're better at anyway. So if they're going to run outside zone, run more like a mid zone, where your running backs are able to cut it back up from under center, things like that, but less trick plays, because that's where the Jets defense is very good against, and they were still very good against that in this game. But some inside running, this is where Bills started finding some success, whether it's inside zone, power, counter. You can attack some of the outsides, you can get out to the B gap, maybe even the C gap, but you really want to give your running back the choice to really widen the defense, where he has the angle to widen and get to the outside, but get these guys to commit their gaps and then get downhill. James Cook found success in this area right here. They ran a lot of, some pin pull concept right here. He pins down, he pulls to the second level. That's how you want to kind of attack these linebackers. I think getting angled out there, running a lot of 21 personnel. We'll see if Smythe is healthy, but getting, guys downhill, I think is very key. Being physical with this team, because I think the Dolphins can move the ball, and if they're able to run the ball, that's where they find their most success in the passing game, because the Jets will then start to, when the Bills started running the ball successfully, they started going away from the quarters looks, running more single high on early downs to stop the run, and then that's where, Bills found some success in the passing game as well. Just another inside run, aiming point, inside zone, let James Cook go to work. That's what the Bills were doing, pick up a nice 5-6 yards a pop on these types of plays. It was very good to see. It's not like it's going to be super easy to run against this team. I understand why the Dolphins haven't been doing it as much, especially with the injuries to some of their guards. We'll see if Robert Hunt plays this week. But if your running backs make correct reads, it does put these linebackers in a tough spot. This time, they really constrict into the middle. Cook makes a nice read, and he starts to bounce this to the outside. But these defenders really do love to commit to the outside leverage. He gets outside of this. Cook makes a good read, gets downhill, picks up 6 yards on first down. These types of plays are key to the offense's success. Then after the successful run, just cover one. Jets bring a blitz. They do like to bring some pressure. It's not always going to happen, but it's definitely something to be aware of. They'll play quarters a ton, as you'll see in more plays throughout this video, but this time they go single high after that first down run. And then this middle of the field will be open when they bring the pressure, and on these single high looks, there's safeties versus the tight end. Dalton Kincaid, give him just a quick little work here. Even this guy loses, I think, attacking the middle of the field, attacking the safeties, kind of avoiding DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner in this game would be pretty important. And then, Kincaid, get him the ball. He makes a guy miss. I'm not sure what he does after this, because if you watch, he makes a guy miss. And then look at all the room he has to work with to the side, and he just runs straight at the safety. I don't know why, but a pretty funny play, but that's kind of how you're wanting to work against this New York Jets defense, even though they are very, very good. They play a ton of quarters, quads, but these corners will get very aggressive sometimes with their number one, especially with, like, as you can see with this, he plays it almost like a cloud type of situation where he gets down and just squeezes this. They match up, and then they can throw. This is kind of where you can get your matchups, I think, going. Getting your number two working down, if he gets enough time to run either the corner or the post and you occupy the other safety, that's how you can attack these styles of defenses. Here, the tight end kind of trips over himself, but if this ball's thrown with anticipation and he doesn't fall over, there's a chance that could be completed. It ends up being, almost picked off because the ball's out late. The tight end trips over himself, things like that. But this is kind of like the area you attack them, but also you got to be able to block this defensive front because they're going to come and bring some pressure on you. Jets running some cover 6 this time around, quarters to the bottom, playing cover 2 to the top. And Khalil Shakir actually had a pretty good game on these inbreakers, and this is sort of where I think the Dolphins could find some success. The Bills motion out here. They have a guy sort of sit down to pull, the flat defender, and then you just have to make the read on this linebacker because the safety is getting so much depth as a quarters guy. They just throw the quick inbreaker. I think the Jets might try to adjust to, play a little closer, a little tighter with their safeties, but then it's kind of tough to do that against the Dolphins with Hill and Waddle because then they have those deep shots. I think the Dolphins can find success in this part of the field. They ran like sort of a variation of smash at the bottom, trying to pull Gardner away, throw the corner behind it. I don't know if that's something the Dolphins should be doing against. They can definitely show it, but throwing this to the other side of the field, finding that space, that's kind of where I think the Dolphins can find success. And if the Jets hard play, which a lot of teams do against the Dolphins, then that kind of opens up other areas of the field. As I wanted to show, just don't really run the sweeps, the outside stuff. Jets defense is very fast. Their linebackers are very explosive to the perimeters. Their DBs get downhill in a hurry. This stuff just does not work, especially early on in games. So I would just want to show this stuff just to avoid it because they pretty much shut this down like 90% of the time. Some inside zone or power or counter, anything where you can get downhill inside, the A or the B gap as like your main attacking point as your offense. I think that's what the Dolphins need to do in this game, even when these things don't work out perfectly because like they're pulling the tackle across some counter action. Cook is supposed to follow 73 through. It gets blocked up, but then it just leaves this cutback lane for Cook to pick up 11 yards on first down. This is how you attack this Jets defense over and over again. As you can see, they have too high safety look, playing in split field looks, and then that leaves one less number in the box, and they take advantage of it. Then after some successful runs, the Jets go in to cover 1. They go to single high. They know it's like a 2nd and 4, 2nd and 6 or something. I think 2nd and 6 situation on this play. Josh Allen has to end up, scrambling. He picks up like 4-ish yards. But I just really want to show they go cover 1. Now the Dolphins receivers, they got to be able to beat this man-to-man stuff. They're playing just like one lurk with the linebacker lurking in the middle of the field here. As you can see, like Kincaid gets his one-on-one matchup with a safety. Can they take advantage of this? They don't have that quite ability at tight end, which I think is something the offense is missing. But, they could have this with like a third receiver getting open. Like this was open on the break. Allen feels some pressure. So I think if the offensive line is able to block for a long time, because, Allen had enough time, they could find some opening facing some man-to-man looks. Plus, you could still take your shots versus DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, possibly get some defensive penalties or just completions because they're very good players as well. They continuously went to single high later on in the games. This quarters was all over the map. This time attacking the nickel defender. The ball's just thrown late and behind, but Shakir cooks his guy again on another, like deep crosser. They have the deep safety over here. Possibly could have thrown the dig to Diggs behind it, or deep curl route. But Allen is just late to see it, kind of misses him on that play. But there is opportunities to work. If you are running the ball effectively, you can attack the secondary. I know I was talking about don't attack the outsides of the defense here, but then they go back to a split field look, and later on in the game, the Bills finally went, to some toss action here. We're more comfortable working out into the perimeter with some pin pull action, and there was just all the space to work with. So it is fine to run this type of stuff, but doing it earlier in games, especially I think the Dolphins, because teams, it's very predictable when they've been trying to do this stuff. But it did open up later on. They still shut it down other plays, but there at least is an example of it working in this specific play. And then here's one of the touchdowns. Sneak out James Cook into the flat. Just good design. They flow everything across get some mesh point going with Kincaid too. So if this first read isn't here, you can maybe throw this behind. But they basically just go man to man, and it's very difficult for them to carry this across to James Cook. And so just a nice little wrinkle that the Bills ran there to take advantage of the Jets defense down in the red zone. Bills also found some success throwing to the running backs quickly, just natural rub here, especially when they went single high man-to-man later on in the game, just getting the ball out, letting your running back work out in space. Just a quick read. You can see just based on the leverage of these defenders that this is exactly where you want to go with the ball. This guy goes over the top of, if he cuts underneath here, you throw the wheel route. If he cuts over the top, you throw the quick just little like flat route, basically what it turns into. You just throw the wheel a lot quicker, and then he gets a one-on-one with the linebacker, able to make a miss. Those were plays the Bills actually had some decent success with. And this was a 4th and 1 touchdown. The play action, as you can see, they've kind of struggled in man-to-man staying with the running backs. So can, the Dolphins take advantage of this, like the James Cook touchdown, the last James Cook play I just showed, and now this is a Ty Johnson touchdown on 4th and 1. They just leave him out in the flat. Explosive plays out in space. Hopefully the Dolphins can build off of that. So it did take a while for this Bills offense to get going. As you can see now, this is another touchdown that they had in this game. They were building off of it by setting this up with their running game. They attacked down the seam versus single high. Very difficult spot for your corner to be in for Sauce here, because he's the number 2. He's just working down the seam. This guy rotates to the middle of the field. You pull him with Dalton Kincaid. You have this guy work far outside of the possible, so he can at least pull Sauce with him. But Sauce actually is in a pretty good spot here. He's just a little bit late, misses it. Shakir catches it and gets down the field and ends up, making some big plays after the catch, which is definitely something the Dolphins offense can do. So not trying to force anything early on, I think, with these big play opportunities, if you can just build out a consistent sort of, build for your offense, let things, force the Jets defense to do something they don't want to by going into a single high more often, by running that ball effectively downhill, doing something they maybe don't expect. Because the Dolphins ran pretty well against the Jets last year, especially in that game. Mostert looked very good getting downhill, getting physical with that defense. Then opening it up. They weren't able to open it up because they had, Skylar Thompson at quarterback, but now open it up, throw it down the field with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. When they get the single high looks, I think they can find some success. Don't think it will be like some crazy offensive game for the team, though. The defense, I think, will have to kind of carry this one, but just want to see them at least be pretty competitive on the offense side of the ball. So if you usually make sure, comment, subscribe, let's get TikTok, peace.